something more?
That's great. And thank you. I just want to say that something has happened in the last just week and a half where I'm acknowledging that I'm doing that somehow. That she shared with me some information about one of her friends. One of her friends just lost her virginity at 14. And somehow that information, the fact that she shared it with me, told me about the depth of our relationship. And then it also let me, it's hard for me to put in words, I just saw that everything was okay. Even because I've wanted to protect my daughter from that, or have her keep her virginity as long as she could, or I realized how many things I wanted to control.
If that was really something that you wanted to control, you would have got hooked up with the biological whatever and set it up so that the biological aspects of the physical apparatus kicked in later.
I can't hear that. Say that again.
Well, of course you can't. But what we're getting at is, humans are determined. As you become more socialized, you become more controlling. And the pattern that many humans use as their basis for that is, well, we don't want to be like the animals. In other words, we are humans. We are socialized. We do have control over our behavior. And what we want to suggest is that control, it's like the subject where we were talking about controlling your behavior and pulling your fists back, or controlling your words and pulling your words back, or controlling your thoughts and pulling your thoughts back. All of that, while it's better than the verbal fight and it's better than the fist fight, it's a control that is really going about life in the hard way. Life in the way that you intended. It is alignment with who you really are, and then an outreaching into life. There's this cycle of life that says your source energy, part of you is physical. In your physicalness, you reach for more. The more becomes the non-physical part of you. The non-physical part of you calls you into alignment with that. There's just this cycle of life, this wholeness of who you are. When you're living life from inside the vortex and seeing the world through the eyes of source, you don't feel guarded about all of those things that you're trying to protect one another from. And so what we are getting at is the subject of sexuality. There are so many rules from almost the beginning of humanity, as man has attempted to control the behavior of others. And with all of these rules and all of these laws coming both from governments and from religions, the kids are still in the back of cars doing what comes naturally.
Yes.
Because they're being called from source energy. And this is a thing, it's an awkward conversation for many people to hear. They're being called, we'll just say it straight out, there are many things that the source within you will call you toward that you've already decided are improper social behavior. And as you try to buck the current of the biological calling or of the source energy calling, then you're always going to find yourself with some. It's like trying to defy these natural laws. There's this natural law of freedom, this natural law of wanting the best life that you can carve out for yourself. And no fence along your border is ever going to stop the desire for that. You just can't hold back these natural callings toward well-being. The callings toward well-being are very, very strong. You can't control people speeding on the highways. In other words, the desire to get to where you're going is stronger than your fear that you're going to get caught by going faster. And so now you're putting up cameras, and now you're catching more, and now you're producing revenue, but you're not stopping people from driving as fast as they feel like they want to drive in most cases. Are you getting the sense of what we're talking about? There's this natural current. What we're really speaking of is this bigness of this vortex, the bigness of the vortex. And anytime any father or any government or any person or any teacher decides that they're going to stand instead of the call of this vortex and offer a rule or a law in order to control behavior, they're going to create a rule or a law that is often broken. Frequently broken. Frequently broken. Your attempt as a society to control the behaviors of one another have made criminals of 100% of you.
All right.
And so then you're finding your way. In other words, even within your police force, there are those unspoken rules, those unspoken laws. They get around it. Everyone gets around everything. In other words, all this regulation, they're getting around it. In other words, it's time to stop trying to control the uncontrollable. It's time to stop trying to do the impossible and get in your vortex and let law of attraction bring to you, what do you want for your daughter? Do you really want to restrict her behavior, or do you want her to live a happy life? Do you want her to find wonderful relationships? Do you want her to know who she is? Do you want her to figure out what's going on with life? There are so many parents that hold their children in these perspectives or even in some sort of actual behavioral bondage. And sometimes they are successful, and in the moment that they are outside of the influence of that, they go very strong in the other way. In Jerry's entertainment years, he met so many daughters of priests and daughters of pastors and daughters of who were strippers.
Yeah.
It was the most common parent. Who's your daddy? Oh, he's got a church in Alabama. Who's your daddy? He's got a church in Mississippi. Who's your daddy? He's got a church. Because the harder, and we know we're getting way over the line relative to what the situation is with you, but the more you try to control the behavior of someone, the more they're going to dig in and show you that you are not the boss of them. Because there is this natural knowing that comes forth from within that you are the creator of your own reality, that it is all about you. It is all about you, and you know that, you see. So when you finally reach the place, and most people only get there once they have no other choice. In other words, most people will not give up control of their children unless they have a child that early on helps them understand that you're not going to control me.
Which she has done.
As long as you're able to control them, then you'll just keep finding more and more and more ways to control them. But eventually, there's going to be a point where that person is going to find their own way. And what happens so often is that a child who has been trying to hold their own way against you is not a child who ever learns about their own vortex, who ever learns about their own leverage and their own true power. So you become a catalyst that keeps them separate from who they really are, and then their behavior doesn't please them and doesn't please you. Where if early on, and it could start today with anybody you know, if you would just let them know, there's a version of you that you've helped me put here, and I'm doing my level best to become a vibrational match to that version, and I hold you not responsible for the way I feel. I'm responsible for aligning with my own version of everything, with my God force, spirit, soul, source version of everything. I want to see the world, I want to see you through the eyes of source, and that is my determination to do. I hold you not responsible for the way I feel. I hold myself and my ability to focus responsible for the way I feel. You are free to create your own reality as you always have been. But I am no longer going to be a hindering influence. I'm going to be a positive, uplifting influence. I'm going to see you in alignment with source. And as I hold you in that vision of you being in alignment with source, I will see you as well, not sick. I will see you as prosperous always. I will see you as clear-minded. I will see you with good judgment. I will see you living well-being. I will see you surrounded by those who are of advantage and value to you. I will see you as the lover that you are. I will see you being loved. I will see you loving. I will know you as you truly are. This is my promise to you. I will know you as you truly are. You see, that's the power of influence, and that's what you have come. That's the only thing you have to give. If you're not in the vortex, you have nothing to give another, ever.
Amen.
Feels good to know what you know, doesn't it? Don't you feel the resonance of all of that? Can't you feel the fullness of who you are? Don't you love letting them all off the hook? Don't you like letting yourself off the hook? What would happen? What would happen to the world if everyone, or even most everyone, or even quite a few, got into the vortex, tuned into the fullness of who they are, and held positive expectation for others? Would the world thrive? What would happen if, instead of holding to rules that don't work anyway, instead of filling your jails full of people who you now have to support, instead of crippling your economy with impossible economic requests, what would happen if you just tuned yourself to the best of your planet and became a cooperative component to that? It is our promise to you. Things would not get worse. They would get better immediately. Immediately.